The US just got a C plus for its retirement system and came in 29th out of 48 countries in accordance with the Mercer CFA Institute Global Pension Index. And since the index came out in 2009, the US retirement system has never surpassed a C plus, and it's not just the American retirement system that's falling short, but it's becoming a global issue with a lower birth rate and increasing life expectancy. Our Social Security system is a prime example of how workers fund our retirees. In 1940, there were 42 workers per retiree, and today the ratio is down to 3 workers to 1 retiree, and by 2050, it'll be about 2 workers to 1 retiree. I want to get your thoughts on the US retirement system in the comment section down below. Why do you think a vast majority of Americans are behind on their retirement? Is Secure Act 2.0 going to be enough? And I'm going to talk about what retirement reforms we still need to ensure the American people have the options to retire comfortably. And I'm not just going to talk about it in this video, but I'm going to contact my senators in Nevada and the representatives in my district and send them my retirement reform ideas. And I would love to know your thoughts on it. And if they reply to me, I'll be sure to let you know in the follow-up video. Anyway, the Mercer CFA Institute Global Pension Index benchmarks 48 retirement income systems around the world. The index is made up 3 sub-indices, okay? So adequacy, sustainability, and integrity. They use these 3 indices to measure each country's retirement system or income system against more than 50 indicators. And I'll put this report in the description below so you can look at it yourself. And I'm going to use Yahoo Finance's version of it because they did a better job at putting the report together, in my opinion. But the Netherlands, Iceland, Denmark, and Israel got an overall grade of A. Denmark scored a B plus in integrity and scored a B plus for adequacy. So adequacy weighs 40% in the score, and the scores on system design, government support, home ownership, savings, and sustainability weighs 35% in the score, and it accounts for government debt, public expenditure, pension coverage, and economic growth. And integrity weighs 25%, and it includes regulation, communication, protection, and governance. Singapore, Australia, Finland, Norway got an overall grade of B+. And here are the B graders right here: Chile, Sweden, the UK, Switzerland, Uruguay, New Zealand, Belgium, Mexico, Canada, and Ireland all received an overall grade of B, followed by France and Germany, Croatia, and let's see, Germany is really interesting because they're going through a major recession right now. So I'm wondering how it's going to affect their retirement system in the future. And both France and Germany received a score of D for sustainability. And if you remember, in 2023, France had a massive protest when President Macron, I don't know, raised the retirement age from 62 to 64 and forced the measure through parliament without a vote. And Macron said at the time that the pension reform was necessary to finance the pension system as the population continued to age. And the French unions argued that the changes would hurt low-income workers and also argued for higher taxes on the wealthy and employers instead. And if you look at the bottom here, right here, that's where the United States is, where with the retirement system with an overall score of a C+. They score a C+ in adequacy, but a C in sustainability and integrity. Now, before you say we should be more like Europe, you have to remember that our political system, population, philosophy, and economic policies are not the same as many European countries. Many European countries have a higher level of universal healthcare, pensions, and labor protection because they're funded through higher taxation compared to the United States. Not many Americans are fond of the two words higher and taxation lumped together when the government spends too much money. And let's face it, the US government spends too much money. If someone in Congress says, let's raise taxes, what do you think will happen to the elected official? Voted out of office, right? Now, when it comes to comparing our public pension system to Europe, many European countries require their workers to contribute to their retirees' pensions at a much higher rate. The US has the Social Security system, but only with a 6.2% contribution rate per employee and another 6.2% from their employers. The Social Security system, on average, replaces only about 40% of pre-retirement income for the average worker. If Social Security is to survive, Congress needs to raise the contribution rate, but nobody's really brave enough to do that because whoever does it will probably get voted out of office. In the Netherlands, the typical retirement contribution rate is around 18% between employees and employers. Their employers usually contribute a larger portion, while employees contribute between 4 and 8%. So, from the surface, yes, the Dutch pension system is ranked the best in the world because they're highly regulated, but it also has a smaller population of 18 million compared to 340 million in the US. The US also has a federal system with strong state power. So it's not like you can implement a large scale social program like many European countries with more centralized governments. We have 50 states with 50 state powers, right? And because Americans have a higher level of distrust towards government intervention in our economy, it's going to make American people less supportive of any extensive social welfare programs that include Social Security and Medicare. And if you have a counter argument to that, I'd love to hear from you in the comment section down below. But we can definitely learn from other countries above the US here, even from, Kazakhstan, I guess, about how they fund their retirement systems. We don't necessarily have to copy exactly the same model that they do, but we can certainly do more through the private retirement system. The problem in the US is that a third of private industry workers still do not have access to a 401k or 401k type plan, and also known as the employer-sponsored retirement plan. So the question comes down to whether the US should regulate the retirement system in the private sector or somehow fix the Social Security system, right? And I would suggest that Congress needs to lift some of those restrictions and regulations from allowing American workers to contribute more to their retirement savings. And here's the core problem that America is still facing, and that's the lack of financial education with 401k, IRA, or other brokerage accounts. And it's not really the employer's responsibility to provide financial education on the 401k, but I believe it is the government's responsibility to make sure people are aware of the defined contribution system like the 401k. This is my honest opinion, and you can disagree with me if you want to. The government just passed legislation like Secure Act 2.0 without really providing financial education to the public. And how many of you know that you can roll over your 401k to your IRA and it doesn't count towards your contribution limit? How many of you know that you can fund a 529 college savings plan, and if your kids end up not going to college, you can roll them into their Roth IRA in the future? And how many of you truly understand the differences between Roth and traditional contributions in your 401k or IRA? How many of you know that you can still fund your Roth IRA even when you exceed the Roth IRA income limits? And I believe Congress still has work to do to improve our retirement system. I don't care if they call it a Secure Act 3.0 or something like that. But here are some things that I am proposing to Congress, and I'm actually writing a letter to my congressmen and senators. So I'll let you know if they reply or say anything about it. So first, we need to have a Roth IRA or a traditional IRA with the same contribution limit as the 401k. $7,000 is an absolute joke. And as I said earlier, around 1/3 of Americans still don't have access to their 401ks because their employers don't have one. And Congress should increase the IRA contribution limit from $7,000 to $23,500 so that Americans can still save or start saving more towards their retirement if their employers do not have a 401k. And I know this is going to sound extreme, but we should mandate every American to have an IRA. It doesn't cost you anything to open an account at all. And second, they need to remove the traditional IRA deductible limits and allow people to deduct their income even if they have a 401k plan. This will incentivize people to invest more in their IRAs. And third, they should remove the Roth IRA income limits and allow anyone to contribute to their Roth IRA. The backdoor Roth IRA process is really unnecessary. So regardless of anyone's income, they should increase the Roth IRA contribution limit to $23,500, like the Roth 401k, and let anyone contribute to it in after-tax dollars. What does it matter to Congress if they just pay the taxes now, right? And fourth, they need to centralize the 401k system. The lost and found 401k database alone is not going to be enough. We should make the rollovers easier and simpler for the American people. When I transfer my Vanguard 401k to my Schwab 401k in my fireside chat business, it took me printing out 15 to 18 pages of documents and another 5 business days to complete the transaction. The broker to broker transaction has always been difficult to do. So I would like the rollover to be as easy as making bank account transfers. And 5, make after-tax 401k contributions available for everyone. And no, I'm not talking about the Roth 401k, but I'm talking about the mega backdoor Roth 401k with after-tax contributions. I encourage you to check out this video I made on my channel when you get a chance. But anyway, you as an employee can contribute up to $23,500 in the calendar year 2025. If your employer contributes 5% of your annual salary of, let's say, $100,000, then that's $5,000 in employer match, right? So if you subtract $5,000 and $23,500 from the $70,000 total 401k contribution limit, you actually still have $41,500 remaining to make the after-tax contribution. Unfortunately, not every employer provides an after-tax 401k contribution option. As a matter of fact, only 22% of Vanguard 401k plans had an after-tax contribution option. It does not hurt the employer to have their employees contribute more to their 401k with a mega backdoor Roth. Every employer should offer this option for people who want to super save for their 401k. And 6, we need to modernize health savings accounts, or HSA, to expand its eligibility. Congress proposed several bills in 2023 to improve the HSA. Health Savings Act of 2023, HSA Modernization Act of 2023, and Bipartisan HSA Improvement Act of 2023 were all very promising, but Congress just did not move forward with the bill. So needless to say, they're pretty much dead in the water. What I would like to see is an increase in the maximum HSA contribution limit to match the maximum deductible and out-of-pocket. So for 2025, the maximum out-of-pocket for the high deductible health plan is $8,300 for self-only coverage and $16,600 for family coverage. But the maximum HSA contribution limit is only $4,300 for single individuals and $8,550 for family coverage. And I think those contribution limits should match the maximum out-of-pocket cost so that people can save more on their taxes to pay for those medical expenses if needed. And Congress should also allow veterans with TRICARE to contribute to their HSAs. And I think HSA should be available for every working American to allow them to set more money aside for medical expenses in the future. 7, I'm gonna get a lot of flack on this in the comment section, but just keep in mind that this is only an opinion based on my experiences who work with numerous people with their financial planning. We need to remove the option to allow people to withdraw from their 401k or IRA, even for an emergency. I know this is really extreme, but just hear me out, because in 2024, we had a record number of people who took early withdrawals from their retirement funds, including Tim Walz, the vice presidential candidate for the Harris campaign against the Trump campaign. He pulled $135,000 from his 401k to pay for his daughter's college education. That's a big no-no. When you withdraw from your 401k early, you're going to pay a 10% penalty, federal income tax, and state income tax. Depending on your current income, if you add everything up, you could end up losing 40% of the total value that you cash out. Not to mention, taking money out of your 401k or IRA will significantly delay your retirement goal. You can't justify taking money out of your 401k to pay off your debt, because let me ask you this, does it make sense to take out a 40% interest rate to pay off another debt? Absolutely not even credit cards. And lastly, we need to make the retirement savings rate mandatory. People in their 20s should contribute at least 10% of their income towards their 401k or 401k type plan. And people in their 30s should contribute at least 15 to 20% of their income towards their 401k. And I would really like the 401k broker to have that calculation embedded based on their current balances. And I know Vanguard, Fidelity, Schwab, and Empower all have excellent tools that can calculate your retirement numbers. You can even visit firesignature.com/resources to get my free retirement calculator. I really hate to say it, but giving people the option to invest in their retirement has not paid off very well. And again, I know this sounds extreme, but having that mandatory contribution to their 401k can definitely boost their retirement savings. And from my experience, we need to make financial education mandatory countrywide. An average 22-year-old needs to understand how a 401k works. It's mind-blowing to me that in 2024, a 401k plan or any type of defined contribution plan is still not available for every American. It should be mandatory for all employers, regardless of the number of their employees, to provide a 401k plan. Social Security alone is not going to be enough for anyone's retirement in the future. Is it going to cost employers more money to fund their retirement? Absolutely. But I'm worried for how behind we are with retirement savings. Let me know in the comment section down below about your thoughts on the American retirement system. And this has been another beast of a video, and I hope you got a lot out of it.